Hello everyone, it's Quest Quenchers here today, and I just wanted to talk about the beginning of the game, Starfield. I've just been mulling over it for such a long time, and I feel like it is probably the right way to start off this kind of game, but I wanted it to be probably better, and the whole game to be a little bit different, I think. I wanted more of a choice, rather we got like this is the way to do something, you got to do it this way. And I feel like it is quite limiting in a way, which is strange, I guess. It might be because we're all coming off Baldur's Gate and there's plenty of ways to do a single thing. So I have a feeling like they should have probably done a few bits of drafting with the main story. I feel like it's very easily, it can be easily made interesting with a few passes and stuff, which is interesting. Like for one, the intro of just I'm not gonna lie, Argos Extractors has the worst health and safety I've ever seen. Going through the mine on your lonesome without people around you is a very strange thing. I mean, like going to like where the gravitational anomaly is on your own is very strange. I feel like one of the characters, either Lynn or the other guy, should have. I think the other guy, because he's scanning the reader and stuff, should have been with you. And when you head through to see the first artifact, he could have been, giving some expedition, some exposition, and sort of be like, "Whoa, what the hell is this?" and all this stuff, getting you hyped up, and then your character sort of minds the thing, and then goes to touch it, and he, exclaims, "Hey, what you do? Don't!" and make it a little bit more dramatic. And then you should have had like a little scene where you're like flicking between consciousness, and he's like, he's glowing, what the hell's going on, kind of thing. Instead of Barrett saying, "Oh, you've been changed later," or "You've had these visions." And I'm just thinking, I know, like, it's just these little details that I think would have made me more interested in the story instead of being quite basic, I feel. It is quite an easy thing to do to cut up and stuff, whereas I feel like they should have added those little details. And then sort of the beginning too, when you wake up and you head to see Barrett, and then these pirates come down. I feel like it should have been different. Instead of just, a straightforward shootout and stuff, I feel like we should have got introduced to the character Barrett more. That he could talk his way through these things with the Crimson Fleet. Like, the Crimson Fleet come down, they're like, "Where the hell's Barrett? Where the hell's Barrett?" And, Barrett's like, "Oh, okay, let's talk this through, buddy." And you can see him talking through and manipulating this pirate to go away. And then before the pirate leaves, just go like, "Hey, I'm sorry about this. You seem actually quite a good person, and yeah, you have no treasure. We have no reason to be hunting you, thing. But these guys on this planet will probably be after you too. I mean, we're not really associated, even though we're Crimson Fleet, but we do recommend if you really want to get them off your tail, get us off your tail, go to them." Kind of thing. And then I think from there, so the player can see like, holy crap, Barrett can, is really cool with conversation, which I think he is portrayed as, but in not very, that's how you would make it. I feel like it should be like that, and it will show you, hey, you can talk your way through things, or you can shoot your way through things, because you would have the optional be like, wipe out the pirates, or let Barrett handle it. And then you can take that sort of thing you just saw and go to the moon of the other planet and talk with the other pirates. But I feel like it's done backwards, that mission is. That you shoot your way through the building, then you talk to the captain. I feel like it should have been you talk to like the person on the door, the captain overhears, the person on the door escorts you through the facility. Escorts you. I can't say that word. Takes you through the facility. You can learn all about the terramorphs and stuff, and what happened here. By going off and having listened to slates and stuff like that. And then you meet the captain. You can either do him a favor, kill them all, or persuade your way like Barrett did. It's like if you've got the diplomat thing, you can persuade him to stay off Barrett's tail and leave him alone. And then you're just like, yeah, then it's sort of complete. Or the favor can be, hey, there's this part of the facility that's overrun with machines. I'm not willing to kill my crew. You know, pirates, I feel like they have a, you know, sort of a camaraderie, you know, kind of like feeling with each other and the stuff, and they like to stay close. And yeah, I know they can be a bit cutthroat and stuff, but I do, you know, I've watched plenty of Pirates of the Caribbean. I do think they tend to care each other. You know, I feel like it should have been like that, you know, that they care about the crew. If you're a good captain, like Jack does, you know, Captain Jack. So I feel like it should have been more like that. And then you can either, you know, wipe out all the robots and stuff, and then get, you know, get the loot and bring it back to the captain. And they're like, hey, okay, you're pretty cool. And then you could probably have a little more further conversation with him. And then he could be like, hey, the Crimson Fleet could use like a tough, you know, person to get to know you. I mean, you know, to assist us and stuff. Why don't you, you know, drop by the key and stuff like that? And we, you know, I'll put in a good word with our, you know, admiral person, whoever, the leader of the fleet, and you know, something like that could occur. But there's also like the UC thing. It would tie more like, hey, we've noticed that you've had an association with the, you know, the Crimson Fleet. Maybe you are in. And depending on how many quests you've done for the Crimson Fleet is, you know, how much the UC reveal to you, or ask you a favor and stuff if you still like got a clear bounty and heading towards New Atlantis. So I think it could have been done that way. But yeah, that's just my little take on the intro. I feel like it should have been a little bit more different and a little bit more choice rather than wake up, mine, violate a lot of safety precautions, I imagine, within mining, and then, you know, shoot a bunch of pirates, talk to Barrett, and Barrett stays with Lynn, and then you take the ship. You should have been able to, you know, just go to every planet that you want. Just the caveat is you have Vasco with you all the time, and he doesn't leave you alone. So, I feel like it should have been like that, so it immediately opens up. You can go anywhere, anytime, anything. It's just, you have Vasco with you. He is watching you and sort of feeding that data back to Constellations. That's, I think, how it should have been handled. Whenever, like, you know, Protocol Indigo or something is just Vasco observing you and watching you as you go, instead of like and then that information is feedback to the lodge. Then the lodge can, if you know, you go a while without meeting them, they can meet you out in the field. You know, you get this ship landing next to you when you like go onto a field, and then you have like a few of these, you know, a few of the Constellation members that, you know how to deal with people and stuff. You have Barrett again, or you have, you know, Sarah Morgan, or you have Andrea or Sam Coe, you know, maybe all three of them, all four of them, approach you and be like, hey, we've been watching you. You've been traveling around with, you know, our companion Vasco, and he's been feeding data back to us. We'd like to talk to you right now. Then you can have that conversation there. I know that would be, like, I've programmed quests and stuff within the creation kit in, like, Skyrim and Fallout before. I've never, you know, sort of posted anything because project always fell through, mainly because you know, I was either in a job or you know, or it was school or something. But it was still like I could do it. I could easily do it within the creation kit that I had. So it's, you know, it's not rocket science. I feel like it could have been done. And you know how you know, there's these little like quest sort of flags, and you can either put like 1 or 0 if it's been completed or not. So it's like, you know, if they completed certain things, you could have that flag there, and then it will change the conversation later. It just seems that it didn't really think about it, how, you know, sort of different and streamlined, and how open it should be. That moment should have been when you you know, when you take off, should have been the Skyrim moment where you're like, hey, I'll meet you in Riverwood, you know, kind of thing. And then you don't have to. You could do everything else apart from meeting him in, you know, Riverwood. and there you go. And you could have just done that. But it just seemed very streamlined, and not streamlined, but like go down this road kind of thing. It is different from what they've done, but I think the reason why people kind of dislike it is because it's not like what they've done before. It's way more linear, and it's not as open or freedom of choice, as well as for me, there's been quite a few bugs, especially with the companions. Like Sarah Morgan, I had a bug with. I think I missed a sort of what do you call it? Sort of a box you go through that triggers the rest of the quest. I think I probably missed it through going through the menus and just fast traveling to there because I already discovered the place. And it must have missed the flag, the trigger box. So I feel like they need to change that because clearly they haven't done enough testing within that quest. And I'm not gonna lie, the companions are a big part of the game. Getting them all happy and stuff just feels like a natural thing people will do if they're playing like a good playthrough kind of thing. And then with Sam Coe's quest, it just completely breaks at some point. So it's just like, it's like this should have been sorted. People, there's a space cowboy. People are going to be attracted to that. Oh, Sarah Morgan, the hardened military kind of lady that has a soft spot. People are going to be attracted to that and want to do those quests. And then you have Andrea. Andrea's quest worked perfectly for me, which is great. It's just, it's a shame. I don't understand how the main quest sort of selects people in certain ways to do certain things. Maybe it's the same across every playthrough, or it's different. I'm not too sure. I'll have to do that and have a relationship with another person, to get their friendship first to see if that changes anything. But I'm not too sure. It might be just that's what happens every time. But yeah, it's I do feel like it should have had another pass through probably a writers. I do feel like they have plenty of writers there, but I do feel like sometimes they have level designers designing some of the things that need to be written. Like they come up with stories and they do that. Whereas I feel like it needs an overarching touch with a writer that goes back and looks over his stuff. Because the intro, I just it genuinely, it made me feel a bit off about it. It was like, oh, okay, so it's straight into shooting, and where's the showing these people are unique and stuff. Like Barrett should have been able to talk his way out of everything, and then and then have that unique sort of property that makes Constellations distinguished and unique. Each character brings something very unique, and I feel like some of the characters just you don't see it that way. I mean, you see Sarah be able to convince other people sometimes when you're in the dialogue and stuff, searching for like the main artifacts and stuff. But then it's like after that, there's not much. They do comment on things and stuff, but I don't feel like you can turn around and be like, "Hey, Sarah," in the UC quest and say like, say something, do that. Because they often get barred from seeing certain things, and it's just like I feel like they needed to be more forefront of the companions and stuff, and made distinguished. Because I can think of a few characters that I like, but they never really. It just feels like they don't interact more, like in certain ways. They do interact way more than like Fallout 4 and stuff. They do comment on things a lot and within conversations and stuff. But again, it's just like I wanted to see their unique trait. Like Barrett's clearly talking. Sam Coe, clearly he's like, a 3-star ranger kind of thing. He should have been still associated with the 3 stars, because how come we can be as 3-star ranger and with Constellations and with UC Vanguard, and it's just like, hey, how come I can do this but everyone else can't? And I feel like Sam should have been still a 3-star ranger even with Cora, and I feel like I feel like it just made him not to suit the the sort of messiness that he has with Lillian Hart. I'd rather him still be in the Rangers. So I'm walking around with a legendary 3-star ranger who's also, a descendant of Solomon Co. So it's just like, it should have been made these characters more grander. Like, why couldn't Sarah still be associated with the UC? I mean, she can still meet with like the admirals and stuff like that, but at the same time, I feel like that, if Constellations still had attachments to other factions, it would make more sense how they get the weight, how they get influence, how they can get places that other people can't. Whereas, they're actually their own faction, disconnected from everyone, from other people, and they have some, some ideas of how other factions, operate. Whereas I feel like they should have still been part of those factions and, still do things for them, so they are called away sometimes. And I feel like, it could have been more complex story like that. That, not everyone's main priority is Constellations. They still have other jobs to do. And that could have fed into other sort of things like, hey, I need your help with this UC Vanguard operation. Could you lend a hand? And you could have the option, no, I'm busy with other things. And then they could do the quest themselves, complete it, and be like, yeah, I did that. It got a little bit hairy, but managed to pull through. And they have a story to tell you. As you would like in real life. If you can't help someone because you're doing something, you can find out later what happened and stuff like that. And I think it just would have been more interesting and more of, more of a realistic kind of thing. I do feel like there is sort of things within the story that kind of says, yeah, this is a game. Whereas with like Fallout and Skyrim, I feel like it's, it's more forgiving in a way. Like it doesn't pull you out at certain things, whereas Starfield tends to pull you out quite a bit, which is quite irritating to experience. So yeah, that's just some of my thoughts really on Starfield's intro, and then sort of the companions and a little bit of the story without going into spoilers and stuff. But I feel like it should have been, Constellations should have been made up of people that are in other factions but have a main priority, still associated with the other factions, but have this curiosity about the alien artifacts that they found. Just so it's like they're not always there. They've always got stuff, and just seeing every, if they're not on a sign, just seeing everyone just at the lodge twiddling their thumbs instead of like doing other things seems a bit like, you guys just exist for me to come to you and take you around the universe or assign you places, rather than being your own person and having your own life. You're just here for me. And that's the thing I dislike about, I guess, this game, because like, I also look at these, I'm going off a tangent again, but like the stores never close. People never go bed. And it's just like, where's the routines of these people? These are people, they need to eat, sleep, and drink, and go to the toilet and all that stuff. And they just never leave their post. And it's just like, yeah, so, always so the player can constantly come by and, offload all their goods onto this people or buy stuff. And it's just like, yeah, but it's not realistic. Maybe have the shifts, the shopkeeper changes every so often. This person's not on shift. That would have been better if they wanted it to be 24-hour, and it's not hard to program. So it's like, you can just have the, the same, what do you call it? The same inventory. You can even like duplicate it if you want. Like, oh, if this player ID feeds, gives this player this certain thing, this inventory from this box, because that's how it works. It's all like all from boxes, and you could just have like, either duplicates or feed them from the same box. That's a little bit, you might not understand what I just said. It's a bit of technical bobble in the creation kit, and it's just like, why not? Why not have shifts going on? It will make more sense to the play. Like, oh, so Doodar's gone and had having a break and stuff. They have an actual life, and they go sleep, whereas they don't. It's just so weird. It's really weird. Like, no place shuts. they should, you know. And then you realize, oh yeah, this is just so I don't get frustrated and have to wait for ages because they still. I feel like the wait system is still broken. I feel like it should have been, hey, you hold down a certain button and then press another button. You know, you hold down the left bumper and then press A to wait. Like, it's strange that they don't think about that. They don't do any buttons like that. You know, you could implement more controls too. If you're like, oh, if you hold that, it switches the A, you know, and, you know, if you hold it for a certain amount of time, it will change that, and you can press A to wait or Y to wait. You know, it should have been, you know, there's a lot of things I think about, especially with like Skyrim modding, like that some things is how that works. You can hold a certain key or on your controller a certain button, and then press a button to interact differently. So you can like stroke a dog straight away instead of like having to talk to it and then click pet and it shows an animation. That, you know, that's another mod. But still, there's just I gotta say, it just seems uninspired, and that's a harsh thing to say. Like, it should have more thought. And I think, you know, thinking about it, when was Starfield made? It was pre-pandemic, maybe. You know, working from home wasn't, you know, the infrastructure wasn't there. It was really hard to implement things. But at the same time, then it should have been delayed more after the fact of all these COVID procedures being, you know, taken out and stuff. I just feel like you should have probably delayed it until it was more cooked. You know, people would have hated that. It's been delayed about 5 times, but I still feel like it should have been different. It should have vehicles. Although I discovered a power which helps to mitigate that, so I understand why it's not there. But at the same time, people that haven't discovered that power had the choice for a vehicle. Like I said, it's all about choice, and that's what people love about Bethesda games. You have the choice, and there's different ways to do certain things. And I feel like they've kind of missed the ball this time around. Unfortunately, on their single player after Fallout 76, you've kind of dropped the ball. But it's not an utter failure. There's no, it's far away from an utter failure, but it's still mediocre for a games company that has delivered good games, and I feel like they need to reflect on that. Right, that's all from me. I will see you in the next video. Please take care and subscribe and like. Goodbye.